Herzlich willkommen auf dem DOK.fest zu seiner 37. Edition der ersten dualen Ausgabe, auf der man die Filme online gucken kann und auch im Kino. Mein Name ist Julia Teichmann. Ich stelle Ihnen die Filme und Filmemacherinnen hier vor mit meinen Kolleginnen und Kollegen. Ich habe lange fürs DOK.fest gearbeitet. Jetzt arbeite ich für German Films und vermarkte deutsche Dokumentarfilme im Ausland. Der Film, über den wir jetzt sprechen, läuft in der Reihe Doc Panorama. Er heißt You Are the Days to Come und ist von Ronja Yu. I will switch to English now and introduce you to my guest. Welcome, Ronja.
Hi, everybody.
Good to see you. You are actually far away, not in China, but in California, I guess, Santa Cruz.
That's right.
So it's very early in the morning.
Right, it's 6:30, but that's fine.
Okay. Maybe for the beginning, Ronja is not a Chinese name, right?
Oh, Ronja, that's a Swedish name, actually, from Ronja Robert daughter. Yeah, from Ronja the Robert daughter.
Yes, I know the book and I know the film. So you gave this name to yourself when you emigrated to Sweden from China?
That's correct. Yeah, that's my Swedish name. That's also my official name. Yeah. I kind of identify with the character Ronja in the book.
Yeah? How come? What's in which way?
Well, to be adventurous, to like to explore things, find out, to seek for danger, jump over the health gap, that kind of thing. Yeah.
That's actually what you're doing in your film, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're exploring, well, something really personal, meaning a lot to you, but also, well, an important memory which have been lost in a way, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, at the end of your film, without spoilering, you say all we can do is waiting for new days to come, but actually you do a different thing with your film because you're not waiting, you keep a memory, like actively.
Right. So one of the motivation to make this film is to create a historic testimony, historic but yet personal. Chinese modern history, it's been rewritten by the government every 10 years, every decade. The young people today, they don't know about this history. They don't know about the Tiananmen Square democratic movement. What they could know is that it's anti-governmental riot. So I would like to create this historic testimony to provide the younger generation with a historic context.
Yeah.
That was the purpose.
Mm-hmm. But with it, I mean, this film, maybe we have shortly to explain what it's about. It's about art scene in the 80s and an atmosphere which imagined another world, and also that art could change the world in a way, right? So when you now talking about you want to pass it on to a younger generation in China, is this even? I mean, would it even be possible to show the film to them? How would they be able to see it?
Well, in mainland China, it might be hard unless they try to download it, unless they try to climb up this wall that created China to get out to the outside. But well, there are a lot of people. There are a lot of young Chinese people out abroad. So the film has been aired and screened all over the world now. So I'm hoping that this could be a channel for people to see it.
Mm. What are the reactions of the young people?
They were very fascinated. Were very fascinated about what they saw. The society today in China is very, very different. In the film, I documented this rebellious and creative spirit during the 80s. That was very memorable for me. But the society today, this kind of idealism is replaced with consumerism and deep cynicism. So younger people today often feel they're isolated without being able to see real ideal or real dream in their lives. So they were very fascinated about seeing all these things, what had happened earlier, just 30 years earlier in Beijing.
Are there any contemporary artists movements in like from younger people you know about in China, in contemporary China at the moment?
Well, the art scene is very vivid. It's become very commercialized, and it's very, very different now. Things are very different. It's capitalism changes people's state of mind. It's another struggle.
In your film, you use lots of archive material, and at one point, I think, rather in the beginning, you say like you were so happy, so thrilled, or so happy to find this rare material about the democratic wall. Where did you find all this material? It must have been like an extensive like search and time-consuming thing to gather all this material.
Right. The archival footage is a significant part of this production. I'll say that we spent tremendous time to work on this, but we're also very happy with what we have found. We're very happy to be able to dig this material out and preserve it for the rest of the world. So the archival footage consists of 3 parts in this film. Exclusive private collections from former journalists and artists, and rare art museum collections that has never been seen. Also, newsreel footage from the US, from Europe. There's also an artistic collection of still photos shot by Chinese photographers that were active during that time. It was tremendous work. It was ongoing during the 4 years of the production, but I'm really happy about the result. It was a strenuous process, but it was also enormously rewarding and also emotional. This footage you mentioned in the beginning of the film, I have to thank. I'm really grateful. I have to thank people who have shared their collection, their footage with us. So the democracy war is from Helmut Opleto from Austria. He was a former journalist. He's a professor in Austria today. It was the first time I saw this 8mm footage. it was really very emotional. It was the first time I ever seen this reputable war on screen. It was, visual footage is very, very powerful. I have read about it so many times, but seeing it in real life on screen just bring you back to that time. So it was incredible. And also there's another footage of this art happening on the Great Wall. The creator of this, he was in exile after the democratic movement in 1989. He went on exile for 10 years. And when he finally returned to Beijing, he found all his collection, most of his collection confiscated by the police and was lost forever. The footage we could show was a part of the remaining part of his documentation. And his documentation is being collected by art museums around the world right now. But this has never been screened like this publicly. So I am really happy to have the opportunity to show this footage to the world.
Was it clear to you from the beginning that it would be a personal film too, and a personal journey, that you would be part of the film? That we would hear your voiceover, that we would see you?
Oh, well, I have always been interested in this history in the 1980s. I grew up in Beijing during that time, so it's part of my memory. It took a while. The trigger point for me to make a decision to make this film is it was the approaching of the 30-year memorial time for the Tiananmen movement in 1989. That was the point I decided to make this film. And it took a while for me to narrow down into the art section, because a lot of things was happening during that era. The economics was growing. There was a lot of things. It took me a while to narrow down into avant-garde art. It's also I discovered this during my research, that this was a huge section that has hardly been seen, as it's very unknown to the public. And it's very close to me since I'm a film artist. I feel resonance with these artistic people and their rebellious, their creation, their spirit. So, the result is that I became very personal in the film. And I'm very happy with the result. I wish I could have been more personal, maybe. The challenge has just been that it's a very specific historic era, and there's a lot of background information to explain to the public, to people, what was happening before and after. So I wish the film could be longer.
Are you still in contact with your protagonists?
With some of them, yes. The sculptor, he is in Paris. He's a very active artist. He has exhibitions very often. And the performance artist, I do have contact with her. He lived in China. He lived in Beijing during the time we were shooting her. We were filming her. She has moved back to Australia since a year back, because the political oppression against artists in China has been too much for her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I wondered about this anyway, that she can do this art within. I didn't know that this is possible in a way.
Right. In private, the art performance she did in the film happened in her studio.
So it was not open to the public. It was not. It was kind of.
Yeah, it's open to a very private public,
okay.
not really to the public. The censorship for art is different now. It's come from not from above, but it comes from the atmosphere. It's the curators, the media, they're all shunned from this kind of material because it will get them into trouble.
Mm-hmm. So they are scared. So
they are scared.
It's
right?
fear. Fear is the actual censorship in China for art.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
I feel so. Yeah. So I made the film with the purpose to preserve history, to dig out this artist that resonates deep in me. But today, seeing from the political development in mainland China during the last few years, I really feel the film is very up to date.
It must have been also a really emotional journey, right? Like there's a lot of anger in, or like melancholy paired with anger maybe in it. So you think it could change something? Art, do you think art can change something?
Well, I was asked this question before. I wish I could
I'm sorry.
give you I wish I could give you a better answer. I would say, well, all these artists in my film, they didn't really have a political agenda in their art, what they did. It was more a personal act. It was not organized. It was more an innate expression to be able to freely express themselves, to seek freedom in mind. Well, the stars did got organized. The stars in the beginning of the film, they wanted their freedom of expression. They did went to a demonstration. Other than that, but in that demonstration, there were many political activists that joined that demonstration. It didn't really say in the film, but all those political activists later were jailed and silenced. But art could live, and the artist could still work with art, although they moved abroad. So I usually say that this film is not a political film. It's more about, I have portrayed these artists as with their humanity. I wanted to learn about them. I wanted to know about them, about their dreams, about their passion, about their inspiration, about their pursuit in life. So they're human beings for me. I am interested in their humanity, their spirit. So that's the main thing I wanted to express with this film. But as artists, you are very tuned into the society, into the social political atmosphere, and you want to express that, what artists do. So I would say that they didn't have a political agenda to start with, but of course the expression was very political. Like the performance artist Zhang Ci, her action art happening in the 1989, the first shots of Tiananmen, was really a very intuitive art performance. And then later it was analyzed as a political happening. And the art piece actually lived its own life. That's a very interesting. Also, the rock musician, many of his rock lyrics were interpreted as political, but as an artist, as a musician, he didn't really have this political agenda when he created this piece of work or his piece of work. It's just free expression. I'm hoping that this kind of spirit will inspire people today in China and around the world. I mean, people today in China is also oppressed by capitalism. I mean, the whole world is oppressed by global capitalism, and we just a lot of people are not aware of it. But in this oppression, I want to hear more voices that just could freely express themselves. I can't answer that if art can save the world. I really can't answer that.
But we
I wish
dream
I could
on.
give you an answer.
But we dream
Yeah.
on to cite what the writing in your back. Yes, thank you, Ronja, for this interview.